This video is going to be about the concept of my body, my choice, which has been somewhat popularized as a slogan from the left advocating for abortion. But we're going to kind of look at it from both sides to figure out what each group really believes in, because it means a lot for issues going on today regarding the coronavirus pandemic, forced vaccinations, forced medical procedures, tracking people, removal of civil liberties. The first thing is people don't understand why they believe their positions, why they think as they think. So on the left, there's this notion that abortion is this sacred thing because of my body, my choice. How dare the government tell a woman what she can do with her body? Clearly, this has nothing to do whatsoever with why the left supports abortion. Because if the left really cared so much about my body, my choice, it would be my body, my choice with regards to vaccines. All of a sudden, what about this social distancing? What about telling people they need to wear masks? Where is my body, my choice? It doesn't exist. The major difference between the liberal and conservatives is the liberals tend to look at the social issues as what can the group do to support the individual, and the conservatives look at this as what rights does the individual have in defense against the group. So we have the liberals group-minded, the conservatives individual-minded. Of course, there's a lot more complexity to this. There's many different value systems that people may have, and I think the only reason why we can even have this left-right debate is because most people in our society exist within a very narrow range of value systems, while there are many more options out there. But that's a whole other discussion. It gets like spiral dynamics and all that. But we're just going to focus on where most people are. So liberals on the left, they care about what does the group do to support the individual. So a woman gets pregnant, the question is, what can we do to support this person? And if this person wants an abortion, then it's like, okay, we will support her decision because we, the group, need to support the individual. For the conservatives, it's all about personal responsibility. They're like, you got pregnant, you deal with it. And because they're so focused on the rights of the individual, there's this hyper focus on the rights of an embryo or a fetus. Again, neither of these sides are genuine when it comes to the arguments that they are making. Conservatives do not care about life being so precious. They don't care about the rights of the baby, whatever they call it. They don't give a flying fuck about any of that. And you know that because then as soon as this baby's out of the womb, then they don't give a fuck about it. And then we can go through all the debate points about abortion, which is really, really kind of boring. We want to kind of get to what's really, really going on. So these conservatives believe in individual rights, individual responsibility. So to them, if a woman gets pregnant, they want to prescribe that she take responsibility for it by carrying it through the term. It's kind of like they have this moral attitude that, oh, if you did this, you need to live with the consequences. So that's what they believe. Like the individual did this, the individual has to live up to it. Kind of like you did the crime, you did the time. So they want to almost prescribe the punishment of carrying through the pregnancy because you got pregnant. And that's their main objective. It's making sure that people pay the price for what they did, whereas again the liberals want the group to support the individual so they don't have to pay the price for what they did. Of course, now we're getting into all these moral arguments which are entirely baseless. There's nothing for this. To say that if you did something, you now need to take personal responsibility for it, that's just some abstract notion floating around. There's nothing objective about it whatsoever. Like, why? And I think this gets into an issue that you see with debating the merits of a resource-based economy when it comes to, the Zeitgeist Movement, Venus Project, that type of stuff. Because you could advocate for this, and then you could have some conservative come along and say, well, so you think people should get something for nothing? And it's like, yeah, why not? If we have the technology for people to get something for nothing and we take care of everyone, why not? And they'll be like, no, that's not the way it's supposed to be. People need to work to earn whatever shit they have. It's totally like detrimental values, supposed morality. I guess, I mean, they are morals, but it's not attached to anything. There's a lack of physical reference, and discussion of morality and physical reference, to me, it's like morals are, there's no such thing as an objective morality. It's all subjective, but you can judge a morality, a moral, based upon its function in a society. So when it comes to abortion, whose position is more functional, whose position will lead to a happier society, whose position is better for everyone when it comes to abortion, the left or the right? The right wants to prescribe that women carry, the baby to term because that's the way it's supposed to be, while with regards to this issue, the left is looking at the consequences of this and the fact that we don't have a society that allows everyone to take care of all these children, and that it would probably be better off if we allow abortion, that you end up with people who don't have their lives screwed over because they were forced to have a child, and maybe you have people who are born to parents who are a little older in life and better able to take care of them. And actually, we know there's research going back to that stopping abortions that having more abortions actually later on decreases crime because you don't have all these children born to parents who can't take care of them. But now let's kind of bring this up to current events and kind of understanding, like, that there are good and bad sides to these positions, because we need to have a society respect individual rights, yet at the same time, we need the group to take care of the individuals. We need both. There has to be, a bit of a balance. And maybe I don't want to say balance is the best word, because I don't think that these necessarily are contradicting forces. Because if you want an individual who's going to achieve the absolute most out of their life, who's going to contribute the most, who's going to do the most, isn't it more likely that's going to happen if that individual is actually supported by society? Just, society saying fuck you to everyone doesn't really create emotionally or intellectually functional people. It creates a bunch of crazy people out there who just care about themselves and are ready to stomp on everyone else, and who are mistrustful and cynical and all that. So we need a society to function needs to do both. Respect the individual and have the group take care of the individual. And too much focus on one is going to lead to problems. Now let's go to this pandemic, because there is no coronavirus pandemic. That's bullshit. And look at what's going on with this whole like liberal conservative thing, because what we're going to have is, and we started to see this, is big pushback from the right about we need to get back to work. And we have insane Democratic governors, Newsom in California, Cuomo, the piece of shit who put me out of work in New York. Cuomo, he's totally psychotic, but he's trying to speak from the values of the left. Not that I think he's just another selfish piece of shit politician. You don't really want to even put him on the left, because I don't really think he has much ethics or morals. And the argument of the left is we need to save every possible life. So, and in order to do that, we're going to force the group we're going to force the group to make sure everyone else stays in line. You have to wear these masks, you have to follow social distancing, you can't go to work, all to just save some life. Never mind that the lockdown is going to kill many more times people than even officially, supposedly, this pandemic is going to kill. So in order for this to happen, then you have like Bill Gates riding the wave of this ridiculous fanaticism. Because he's the one who's creating it, but he's trying to take advantage of this value system that says we have to take care of the individual, and let's force vaccinate people. Let's implement tracking. Total violation of civil rights. Like it doesn't exist anymore. That your body is just the object of society to do whatever it wants to do to it, as long as it's under the guise of being for someone else's health. Because the left, with this regard, does make one observation, which is important and interesting. I mean, the conclusions it draws from the observation is totally nutty, but that is, within society, your health, your individual health, is to a large degree dependent upon the health of everyone around you. Of course, they take this observation and conclude, therefore, we need to force medical procedures on everyone. Whereas, if you're familiar with a resource-based economy, then you would take the same observation and say, that's why we need a society that is designed to take care of people. Because the liberals are not at that level yet. Now, interestingly, with regards to this issue, the conservatives right now have a much more functional view. We need to get back to work. Because if we don't work, we're going to collapse this capitalistic system, and many, many, many more people are going to die. So they're focused more on the rights of the individual against the group. And, with regards to this, I side with the conservatives, being that I don't think a system's collapse and leading towards people like Bill Gates becoming the dictators of the world under some post-capitalism dystopia is going to lead to a resource-based economy or anything better. That's just system collapse into a total tyranny control grid. In the past, all tyrannies have fallen, all empires have fallen, but we've also have had all of them exist under very low technology. We haven't seen ever a high-tech like tyranny control grid that Bill Gates is planning. So it's extremely dangerous, and it's being cheerleaded on by all these fake liberal people who don't respect civil rights at all. So to me, going back, I would say that I've always been on the left, but I've always believed in individual rights. You take that as a foundation, and then you want to build on top of it by saying, well, we have individual rights, but now how is the group going to take care of the individual? You don't ever say the group is going to enforce its will on the individual for the good of the individual. That's violence, and that's going to lead to tyranny and oppression, and you're not going to achieve what you want to achieve. This idea that the ends justify the means doesn't work, because if the ends is violence, coercion, forced medical procedures, if that's the means, then the ends is not the health utopia. The ends is Bill Gates' dictatorship of the world, where he really wants to get to a point where government doesn't matter so much. You just create a bunch of NGOs that do most of the shit, and then just let the state remain as the police military arm. And then that's very compatible with capitalism, because there's no limit in capitalism of how much anyone can own. So just have very few people own everything, and then it's like they're almost the state unto themselves. So that's where we're going with this. Both conservatives and liberals, as they typically exist in our society have very limited thought processes, and they're both kind of boring. But it's good to at least kind of understand the framework, in which we exist in, because as this is going on, I find myself, siding with these conservatives, and all of a sudden I can't stand watching or listening to like liberals, even that I used to follow just a couple of months ago. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to lose my mind and decide, yes, libertarian, blah, 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 blah. I know we need a different type of post-capitalism, and, going back to, the yeoman, farmer, and tradesman of the American Revolution really doesn't make any sense. Okay, that's it. Bye.